Hello dear viewer, welcome back. Today we want to tackle a big challenge, reaching 100,000 signs per minute. That would be a tenth of the way to 1,000,000. For that, I can already promise you that we will need to build some extremely large production facilities. Research productivity is of crucial importance. Unfortunately, all science packs are needed for this research, and the pack with the currently lowest production rate is Prometheum Science, because the spaceship is slow and has little capacity. So a new one is needed. Spaceships are built in orbit around volcanoes, and I've already prepared a blueprint. Platform foundations are very easy to produce here, but at this size it will still take a while. Why did I choose the name Cassiopeia for this platform? Well, the required legendary railguns and fusion reactors will be personally picked up in orbit later on our Kilo. Right now the new platform needs to get going, and for that resources are required. Letting the ship fly just a bit to collect asteroids along the way is usually the best strategy to farm materials. Now that that's done, let's head off to our Kilo. Legendary fusion reactors are important because the platform consumes a lot of electricity. And legendary railguns are a must due to their increased range. Now that the ship is fully completed, we can test whether it can reach the edge of the solar system without any problems. It is very important to mention at this point that I'm playing with a small modification. Specifically, I have increased the stack size of the Prometheum chunks so that they can be stored in the hub more efficiently. There are two vanilla alternatives for this. You can use the now widely known belt weaving to store the chunks on belts, just like the previous spaceship did. Or you first collect bidirects from Novis and craft with Prometheum chunks on the go while gathering. However, time becomes a crucial problem then, because the eggs hatch after 30 minutes. Maybe I'll make a detailed video about it in the future, but in short, this solution brings massive UPS problems with it. You need a lot of speed to farm a significant quantity because the density of Prometheum is only good after several 100,000 kilometers. UPS drops heavily during this operation. I've heard that you can remove explosion animations from the game with mods, which is much better for UPS, but that's not the route I want to take. Well, and the belt weaving for storing chunks? Making the platform longer vertically has almost no negative effect on speed, so you can store large amounts with this method, but I just find the cursed belt weaving boring. Therefore, I made the mod to make cargo base viable, and with that, the platform looks significantly better. I mean, if you can stack 100 platform foundations, you surely can stack 100 chunks, which are way smaller, right? For Patreon supporters who can download my save games and may have already done so, it should be noted, the mod with this adjustment is called Prometheum Stacks and is publicly available in the mod portal. Or just search Avadi and you'll find it. The ship has now collected 125,000 Prometheum and is back in Novis orbit. It's time to check if crafting the science packs works. Here on Novis I definitely need way more biter spawners and rocket silos. Okay, looking good, that's 31,000 signs per minute. For 1,000,000 SPM, 2 of these platforms must craft simultaneously at all times. Wow, that's going to be a UPS battle, even with the mod. Meanwhile, another iron deposit has been exhausted. Hard to believe, but true. And this one down here is also slowly coming to an end. But don't worry, there's a 700k deposit over here in the east. That will last a long time with plus 2830% productivity and legendary big mining drills. Down here I also find an iron patch with 3.5 million iron in reserve. For loading the rocket silos with eggs, I use a bit of circuit logic. This silo here is only active when exactly 100 eggs are requested in orbit. The request in this quantity is only made by my Strider cargo ship, which brings eggs to Gleba to craft artificial overgrowth soil there. The Prometheum ship requires significantly more eggs. If more than 2,000 are requested, all other silos come into play. Eggs that are left over in the silo will be recycled with quality modules. My Prometheum ship was on its way again. This time it has almost 400,000 Prometheum on board. I think it's clear that I need a higher bidirect throughput and production. There just aren't enough arriving in orbit. Since I only want to use legendary biter spawners, I need to craft more legendary bidirects, hence the construction of another upcycler. I'm going to build a 4th one later. Okay, now the time has come. I've been waiting a long time for this. The central part of the Novis base hasn't been upgraded yet. From now on, it's all about producing the basic science packs in extreme quantities, and unsurprisingly, we start with the red science pack. I've already teased this blueprint last time. It's quite straightforward, since the red pack is so easy to produce. I need 4 fully stacked turbo belts for each science pack, which amounts to nearly 60,000 science per minute. And that's exactly what this design delivers. I won't be building a main bus this time, and you definitely won't find city blocks on my channel. This right here is the green science production. My concept is to transport the most important elements, iron and copper, in liquid form and to produce all intermediate products on site. We already use foundries for liquid metal smelting anyway, and since pipes and liquids have been revised since Space Age, practically infinite amounts can be transported over long distances. All through a single pipeline. Only the length of the pipeline must be considered. Which means here and there legendary pumps must therefore be used in parallel to enable sufficient throughput. The finished science packs on the other hand end up on 4 turbo belts. Currently however, I don't have enough labs to consume them all. Before we move on to the next science packs, we need to address another problem. If not enough Promethium science is consumed, the spaceship will eventually become overcrowded. This would ultimately lead to bidirect spawning or there being no more space in the cargo base. So we need a logic that interrupts the production of Promethium science when there are enough packs in stock. For this, I now have a decider combinator next to the rocket silos. I read the amount of available science packs with this cable connected to the roboport. Only if there are fewer than the current 128,000 packs available do I allow the launch of rockets with bidirects. That means if I don't research productivity, the Promethium ship will simply remain inactive in orbit. Since there's no crafting then, it will only fly back towards the shattered planet once I have consumed enough Promethium and quantum processors. Before we continue with military and blue science, I first need to take care of space science. This pack is currently the bottleneck because I am more or less still working with the early game platform. In the past I built static platforms in Novis orbit, but we need about 60,000 science per minute. I think for this amount the ship needs to travel, to farm enough asteroids on the way between the planets. As soon as the available amount of science packs in the cargo base falls below 128,000, it flies to Volcanoes and back. Sooner or later, we also need to further increase production on Gleba. Since crafting overgrowth soil is very slow, I'm already preparing more fields for Yumako and Jelly Nuts. But now back to Novis. I don't like the research speed at nearly 40,000 right now. To go higher, we need a new factory for the blue science pack. I built this design in my Patreon blueprint world. It's only a matter of time until my bots finish it. Unlike the red and green packs, we need a bit of coal this time. Conveniently, there's a coal deposit right next to this location. I will, for now, simply continue to take petroleum gas from the now very old, outdated main base. Let's see if the factory works. Looking good so far. The old production facilities can now get demolished. Next up is the black science packs, also known as military science. For this I have created a massive blueprint and I want to place it down here, south of the nuclear power plant. The required amounts of resources are enormous. For iron and copper it doesn't stand out much, because we transport everything in liquid form with pipelines. But coal, phew, we need a total of almost 12 belts for grenade production. Here you can also clearly see how overpowered Space Age is. Grenades do not benefit as much from the advantages of the expansion because no productivity modules are allowed and they are produced in assemblers, not in foundries or electromagnetic plants. It immediately brings back the feeling of the old 1.0 Factorio, where factories were large with a lot of materials moving. This also becomes evident when producing the required walls. Again, no productivity modules and stone bricks must be smelted in electric furnaces. No crazy Space Age bonuses at this point, except of course for quality, which is admittedly strong in its own right. I think this build looks quite impressive. A lot of belts full of stone and coal disappear here, and out comes 4 stacked belts of military science. In the meantime, we have already reached research productivity 49. Together with productivity modules, that makes plus 590% research, almost 7 times as much. Wow. The Promethium spaceship is currently picking up quantum processors. A nice sight, but later I will need much more production and silos here on Akilo. So, before we can take care of the purple science pack, we first need to expand the base. Purple science requires a massive amount of stone, even more than military science. We have to start mining on these 2 stone patches in the northeast. To clear these parts of the map, I use artillery to wipe out all the spider nests. The rest I handle personally with a Tesla gun. Since the entire area here is now inside the perimeter, we can start building the blueprint for the new purple science production. While the bots set everything up, we take care of the stone deposits. We need at least 12 belts full of stacked stone just for the rail production. And then another 12 belts to produce stone bricks for the electric furnaces production. I'm curious to see if everything will work right away. Something's not right. It turns out we don't have enough liquid iron. That's because this one pump here is the bottleneck. Multiple pumps need to be built and connected in parallel to achieve the required throughput. Let's try again. Ah, this looks much better. The old purple science pack production can now also be removed. The potential consumption of liquid iron will grow significantly in the future, so I've decided to make changes. From now on, I will additionally smelt iron with 4 more foundries at this iron patch. Since the production of all science packs required for mining productivity has now been improved, we are reaching a stable 100,000 science per minute. You hardly get the feeling that anything is even happening in the factories at this rate. The blueprints are set up for 1 million science per minute, which means the new production facility are therefore only operating at just under 10% of their potential capacity. After countless hours, the early game iron patch is now saying goodbye at any moment. Who would have thought? This 3.5 million patch down here will replace it from now on. 8 foundries right next to it will convert iron into liquid form. And to give my logistic bots less to do, I am now transporting calcite with a belt. Bots only have to fly this short distance now. Of course, we also need a bunch of pumps again for good throughput. Now that we are producing all science packs except golden science in massive quantities, it's time to build more labs. 100,000 science per minute is no longer enough. To build this new block, however, we need a lot of landfill. I think it makes sense to build another assembler, temporarily. I'm also slowly starting to worry about the power supply. If I double the research rate, my 2.8 gigawatt nuclear reactor probably won't be enough anymore. But let's see, the new block of labs is almost finished. Let's test how much science per minute we can achieve. It settles at just under 200k, as a few legendary labs are still missing. And lo and behold, the power supply is now a problem. So I thought to myself, why not build a fusion reactor as well? I've been transporting fusion power cells with the spaceship for hundreds of hours already, so I just need to request the cells. Build reactors, add some liquid, and this thing will surely run. 3 fusion reactors of legendary quality. With a neighbor bonus, that's 3 times 750 megawatts on top. Enough for now. Where do we stand now when it comes to science per minute? Mining productivity can be researched at over 200,000 per minute. This will increase by just building more labs. And technologies that do not require golden science packs with 100,000 per minute. Everything else, however, is still significantly below that. Mining productivity is already close to level 500, research productivity at level 50, and everything else is in a very good spot. I'm already looking forward to building a huge factory for the golden science packs. But that will be part of the next episode. To everyone who has made it this far, thank you so much for watching. If you like, support the channel on Patreon, where supporters can find this save game as well as my blueprints. See you next time. Bye.